Namaskara. Welcome to DevCon. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I hope you're all staying safe. The previous year has been extremely challenging, but it got us together as a society, as a community, and we have achieved wonderful things. This time, DevCon is going to be broadcasted in 2 different time zones so that you can watch and enjoy the show at your convenience. We have a huge list of experts, MVPs, product managers, and UiPath leaders coming and talking to you. The next 2 days are going to be exciting and interactive. If you have a question, you click on the Q&A button, and you can also upvote an interesting question. We have an experts wheel for 1 hour, and you can meet these product experts and ask your questions directly as well. The first session for today is about UiPath platform, where we have come and where we are heading towards. It's with Ted, our EVP. Let's get into the session.
Thank you, Tejas. Well, welcome everyone to our developers conference. We're all very excited for this week and spending this time with all of you. I'm Ted Kummert. I lead products engineering here at UiPath. I'm now entering my second year at UiPath. I came to UiPath for the simple reason that I believe this is one of the most important platforms in the enterprise today. I think we're all going to look back one day and see this as the dawn of the automation era, and we're going to remember that we were there as it happened. I also love building enterprise platform software. There's something about working with customers across multiple industries and trying to shape a platform such that they can create amazing and valuable applications. One of the best parts of my job is the time I get to spend with you, our developers, and hear about the great things you're creating. A couple examples I'll share with you right now. You know, a lot of the conversation around RPA is often about automating the repetitive and the routine, which is super important and how a lot of our work starts together. But our platform could also be used for a broad range of applications, implementing completely new business process and capability for the organization. A fun example I learned about in learning and enablement the other day. They had some existing text-based content and we're looking a way to liven it up. Third-party service, great partner of ours, Synthesia. They offer a service that can take text-based content and produce surprisingly realistic synthetic acted video streams. This developer used our platform to basically take that existing content and then create multiple streams of live video in multiple languages. And I hear they're going to take it to a next step where now they're going to take the PowerPoint directly with the script in the note field, and they'll be able to automatically generate multiple video streams in multiple languages of that content. It's also a great example of unleashing the power of AI and ML using our platform. And you know, this is software, like there's lots of ways you can build things, but they were able to build this with our platform in 2 to 3 days, which is pretty amazing. The second example is in citizen development. And Studio X is our strategy there. We're thinking about that individual out there in the work group. They have a problem they need to solve for themselves or for their teams. And the RPA Center of Excellence in IT just may not get to it anytime soon. So giving them the tools to do it for themselves. This example comes out of financial services. Very typical. They have to go to 2 sites, download 14 reports, reconcile that to on-premises data in Excel. Manual tasks took them an hour a day. They author an automation. They're saving themselves an hour a day. They're also saving everyone around them an hour a day. Imagine the power of that, giving yourself back 5 hours of time and giving everyone around you back 5 hours of time as well. It's all about what you're going to create. We're going to spend our time talking about our platform and where we're headed next. We'll first focus on 21.4, which launched just last month. And then we'll take a glimpse into the future, a peek toward 21.10, our fall release. In our discussion today, we'll do it in words and slides, and then we've got some compelling demos as well, so we'll let the code speak along the way as well. This slide frames our vision that drives us forward. We're focused on delivering the end-to-end platform for automation, from discovering opportunities to automate through to measuring the effectiveness of your automation program. Delivering low-code developer experiences, going from citizen developers to professional developers, with our platform enabling you to engage users from the desktop to rich, immersive user experiences, and the whole thing powered by artificial intelligence and machine learning. We see our platform having a very strategic role in the enterprise of the future. We all understand the picture here at the bottom, a fragmented application landscape, applications of all eras. And that fragmentation is a problem because the real work, the real business process has to happen over the top of that. Our platform performs a strategic role in bridging that gap to the real work, the real business process. And we do that by certainly automating the repetitive and the routine in the front office and the back office, but also by enabling you to build new business capability, new applications for the business. And certainly we couldn't do this without you. Our community is now over 1.5 million members and growing rapidly. So valuable to us in terms of the feedback you provide to us that shapes what we're building, but also how you support each other, whether that's through our forums or the components that you source into our growing marketplace. We thank you so much for your continued partnership with us. Our platform is offered with flexibility and freedom of choice on how you're going to deploy and manage our software. The automation cloud, we have a multi-tenant SaaS service, and then you can take our software, deploy and manage it in your data center or your public cloud of choice. Increasingly, we're bringing new capabilities, features to market cloud first, and those come out in the follow-on software releases. And we have 2 supported software releases per year in the spring and the fall. And we're just off the release and launch of 21.4, and then looking ahead toward the fall and the release of 21.10. Lots of features across the surface area of 21.4, a few of the key themes. Our customers' automation programs are continuing to grow and scale. Tens of thousands of robots, tens of thousands of users, and we're investing to have the scale and the performance ready for where they're at. Increasingly, we're talking about governance, especially as citizen developer programs are rolling out. It's critical that these are doing so in a way that's compliant with desired IT and security policy. We released in the cloud first, Automation Ops as a part of 21.4, which provides a policy-based management platform, making it easy to centrally define a policy that ensures that everything out there is happening exactly the way you want it. Big investments continue in the discovery area of our platform. Our vision for discovery is to enable you to build more automations and to automatically discover those opportunities. It starts with task capture, capturing the knowledge of end users. They're out there in the business. They understand the frustrations. How do they package up in a way that a developer can consume it and then convert that into an automation? Process mining, instrumenting your most important business processes, finding the bottlenecks and anomalies that can very directly lead to opportunities to automate. With 21.4 and the GA of task mining, we're completing the foundation for discovery. Task mining, first available in the cloud, watches the work of end users, respecting privacy, reasons over that with a multi-layer ML system to find opportunities to automate those high-value repetitive tasks. We've had a lot of great engagement with you across the preview, gotten some great feedback in two areas. The first is task mining helped us find things we didn't know about. And the second is task mining told us how things we knew about actually happened. And both of those are very valuable in terms of producing valuable automations. We're unique also in our approach in the discovery spaces, and we're really thinking about how you close the loop with automations. In 21.4 in process mining, we delivered a new feature enabling you, as you have an observation about an opportunity, to directly, with almost a single click, create an idea in Automation Hub, our idea management platform. Cloud is certainly an increasing conversation with our customers. Now just over a year old, it started out a year ago with a single service in a single region, is now multiple products in multiple regions, and we've added to that in 21.4. With Cloud Robots in 21.4, we're giving you two ways now to enjoy the benefits of elastic cloud infrastructure. With Automation Cloud Robots, it's a fully managed end-to-end service. And with Elastic Robot Orchestration, which is a feature of Orchestrator, we manage the scale up and scale down of those compute resources that are in your cloud subscription. And we've added insights to our cloud platform, the same operational and business insight provided via rich embedded visual analytics. And lastly, we're thinking about all end users and delivering great capabilities for them. We've got a new visual identity, a modernization of the whole experience end to end. And now we want to talk a little bit about developer capability. So I want to introduce my colleague, Chief Product Officer, Param Kahlon, who's going to share a little bit about the developer capability in 20.4 and show us a quick demo. Param?
Thank you, Ted. There's something for everyone in 21.4 release, but especially for developers. If you look at the core automation, we made it easier for developers to extract information from tables. We've introduced integration activities that make it easy for developers to integrate with other applications that are used in the IT landscape, systems like Workato and Tableau. And we've also made changes to licensing, so make it easier for users to use their licenses across different tenants that are being used. We've also introduced capabilities for RPA testing, a connector SDK that makes it easier to integrate with other test systems that are used in the landscape. We've introduced a connector for ServiceNow. And finally, as you look at AI, we've introduced applied AI, where using Data Manager, developers can now create ML models for new document types. We've shipped new machine learning models for other document types like purchase orders and utility bills. And we've made it easier to continuously retrain the models based on feedback coming from the validation station. So all in all, there's a lot for developers in this release. Let's take a quick look at the demonstration. So I've got an automation here in Studio in 21.4. It's an automation that goes to a web application for suppliers, searches for a supplier by supplier name, and then goes to supplier details and extracts some information and property about the supplier and puts it into the log. Let's run this automation and see what it does. So we go ahead and run it. It's gonna launch my browser. In my browser, it's got the list of suppliers. It searches for supplier by supplier name and clicks on a supplier and grabs the value and puts it into the output log. And I can see it here. There's the employee count, which is the property that it grabbed for the suppliers. Let's make a change here. If you notice in this workflow, we've got a invoke workflow file here, which actually does the work. And we've got a property here for that activity for log entry and log exit. Here we can decide if we wanted to log the invocation of this activity and with what values, in this case, with arguments. So now if she ran the same workflow, it'll do the exact same thing, but we'll have more information in the logs. We'll be able to know the invocation of the workflow file, along with the input values and the output values that it executed with. So we have more information, and you can see this right here. It's starting the workflow file with an input argument and with an output argument here, and we can see that in the logs information. So it's more useful for us. Let's look at this workflow file in here. It's got a sequence of steps here, some clicks and some get text to get those values. For each one of these clicks, if you notice that the movement of the cursor was instant, we've got a property here in these click steps called the cursor motion type. And instead of this instant, we can now make it smooth. So we can actually see the cursor moving from one part of the screen to another And this is useful for some applications that actually need to have that movement for them to work effectively. So we can do this smooth cursor movement across these things, and we've got 3-click operations in here, and we'll do it for every single one of them. So if you ran this automation now with these changes, you'll notice that once the web application opens, you will see the cursor actually moving as just like how a human was going to use them. And you can see how it goes to each steps and grabs the information and gets it. So really useful for us. Now, one of the things you may have noticed in there is that when we launched that application, we clicked on a modal dialog. So in this case, let's say this is the thing. When we clicked on this edit for the supplier, it launched a modal dialog. Now, in web applications, sometimes these modal dialogs could take some time. Sometimes they may not appear. And if you had a get text operation or a click operation following right that step, it may fail, just like we have in this case in our application here to get the number of employees. What can we do to make it more resilient? So fortunately, we've introduced in this release is every time you have any operation in here, you can add a verification step. The verification step could check for something to exist on the screen before it moves to the next step. For example, I can say the modal dialog should appear with the edit supplier button as the header. Once we know we have that, we're ready to move to the next step. So helping me build more resilient automations and going through that. Now, if I'm satisfied with this project, I can publish it. As I publish it, it applies the workflow analyzer rules to this, which is the way I've set up. And it shows me that I've got some errors. I've got some unused variables and unused dependencies in here that I need to clean out. And what's nice about this version of 21.4 version of Studio is that with just one click, I can now remove any unused workflow, any unused variables or arguments or even dependencies, making me more productive, making me do the cleanup work more efficiently. That's what I like about this version of Studio.
So as you can see, lots of great new capabilities for you developers. Back over to you, Ted.
Thank you, Param. Now looking forward. As we plan our products, we consider customer and community feedback as well as industry and technology trends. We have many ways we get feedback from our customers, whether it's direct one-on-one engagement with you, to your formal requests for enhancement, to your engagements in our insider programs, and the feedback you give us on our new products as we're getting ready to release them, to customer advisory councils, where we meet in depth a couple of times a year with our leading edge customers to get their feedback to help us shape our release. The picture on the left side of the screen is actually real survey data from our most recent product advisory council, in which we were discussing what 2110 was going to be. Certainly, that data said, continue to focus on the core automation platform, but it also highlighted some other things. The excitement about RPA testing and how RPA testing can be applied to make the automation program more robust. Certainly, we're seeing also Automation Cloud is increasingly a first choice for customers in terms of how they start to engage on our platform. Integration service in this context is really talking about API integration, customers' desire for us to expand the breadth of the API integration activities we have in our platform. And lastly, a lot of excitement around document understanding and how you can classify and extract information from any form of document. Now, we also think about industry and technology trends. It's important that we're helping you embrace what's coming in terms of technology investments. And certainly, AI and ML continues to be a theme here, as well as how we're in the Studio family and UiPath apps embracing low code to help make you more productive. So now looking a little bit at what's coming in 2110, and this is just a sneak peek at some of the capability we plan to deliver. In focusing on the core, we're getting a lot of good feedback on automation ops. It's first available in the cloud. It will be coming on-prem in 2110. And we'll be expanding the surface area in terms of policies, as well as providing runtime policy enforcement in addition to design time. We'll be introducing a new update service, making it easier to do a complete platform upgrade, including robots and the desktop components. Then we'll be supporting a deployment model for the Linux environment, first with an embedded cloud-native platform install. Cloud-native platform meaning Dockers, Kubernetes, and all of the other open source technologies around that. In the future, we'll go from an embedded install to also supporting install into existing cloud-native platform environments. And our promise is to provide symmetric capabilities from our cloud service to our software. And we'll be making some advancements in that area in 2110. As I mentioned, Automation Ops will be coming on premises in 2110. Automation Hub will be available on premises. UiPath Apps, introduced last year, our low-code application builder. It will be coming on-prem in 2110. Task mining, just GA in 21.4, will be coming on-prem in 2110. And finally, process mining, which actually started out on premises, will be available in the cloud. We think a lot about extending the reach of what you're able to accomplish with our platform. With process mining, we're going to be adding to the apps we have in terms of the process coverage and the targets that we support. And we'll be exposing the framework that we use to develop these apps for you. So it'll be easier for you to develop process mining apps for your processes. In terms of engaging end users, we're going to make it easier for you to embed the automations that you produce in Windows and Office experiences. And with UiPath Apps, we've been getting a lot of great feedback from our developer community about the capabilities in UiPath Apps. You're going to see a more performance, and you're going to see other new capabilities such as support for expressions, controls, file control, charting, and then packaging. It's going to make it easier to manage your UiPath apps-based solution, as well as share those solutions with others. We think also about embracing ML and AI across the surface area, what we're delivering, from features to products. In document understanding in 21.10, one of our big area of focus is on developer simplicity, including that we'll be now exposing document understanding activities in Studio X, unlocking those capabilities for our citizen developer community. We have a new service that we'll first preview in the cloud we're calling Forms AI. In some cases, there's a lot of manual work you have to do in terms of figuring out the taxonomy and mapping that using form extraction. Our vision for Forms AI is to automate a lot of that process. And so you just give us a few samples and we start to learn, and you can get up and running and start extracting data from your custom form or your custom business document. Our vision for Unified Target is make it easy for you to select whatever method works best for interacting with those elements. And we'll be adding computer vision to Unified Target in 2110. And lastly, we're thinking a lot continuously about your productivity. And in this case, thinking about how AI and ML-based technologies can power some unique features to help make you more productive. So we got a preview coming on a feature we like a lot. We're calling Next Best Activity. So I'm going to invite Param back to give us a quick demo of Next Best Activity. Param?
Wouldn't it be nice if in Studio, it could anticipate my needs and suggest the next best action that I want to take based on my context, based on my behavior? Always have the right information at my fingertips to get more work done. Let me give you an example. So let's say I'm at this use Excel file function. I drag it and I point to an Excel file that exists, let's say on my desktop here. It's a set of transactions. It's got a table in it. When I click the next activity within that Excel application scope, it should anticipate that I'm probably trying to loop through the set of transactions, the table that exists in here, maybe suggest me an action that is more relevant. So for example, when I type 4, it knows that I'm trying to go through for each Excel row, and it goes through, those actions in here and suggests them based on that. And when I'm outside the Excel scope and I'm done and I'm trying to, let's say, move on to something else, maybe we should forget the fact that I did the last search in 4 and maybe suggest something that I can use. For example, in this case, I want to use the Word file to go and move some data into Word. When I click the Word file, it suggests me some commonly used actions in Word. And maybe what I want to do is instead use set the bookmark content in the Word file. And when I go ahead and try to do another one, maybe we should remember that I just did a bookmark and suggest that again. Those are the kinds of things that are suggesting the next best action based on my behavior. The good thing is we're working on a version of Studio that will do exactly that. Let me show you a preview of that. So here I'm in Studio. I'll do the exact same steps. I'll grab that Excel file. I'll point to an Excel file that exists on my desktop that has a list of suppliers. And when I click on the next best activity for this, it knows that it's got a table and it's going to suggest for each Excel row in here. When I'm outside of that Excel activity scope, it comes in and it suggests me other things. Maybe I want to work with another Excel file, or I want to use application or browser, or in this case, let's say, I want to use a Word file and move forward with doing some action in the Word file. Now, when I click on the first operation, the Word file, it doesn't know what I'm trying to do, so it suggests me things that are commonly used. Well, let's just say the first one that I select is set bookmark content, and it's got the bookmark content in here. When I do another one, it remembers that I just did a bookmark content, and maybe I want to do another one of them. So the bookmark content is the first one without me having to search for it again. This is what I'm talking about, looking at my behavior and suggesting me the best actions that I can take based on my context, based on my needs. Back over to you, Ted.
Thanks, Param. Lastly, there's lots of platforms that have come along before RPA and promised that they were going to automate business process and integrate systems, and certainly they did. But we know what makes RPA unique was it being centered on UI automation. But that's not to the exclusion of API integration. And we have a lot of API integration activities in the platform today. But certainly customers were guiding us that they wanted to see more in terms of API integration and capabilities in our platform. Earlier this year, we announced the acquisition of Cloud Elements, a leading integration platform company. And with 21.10, we'll be bringing those capabilities integrated in our platform first to life, first in the cloud. So some of what we'll deliver there. The first is we'll be expanding the surface area of our API integrations with over 80 additional API integration in our platform. The second is we'll be implementing a new platform service we're calling now Connection Management. And what this is going to do is basically externalize the management of connections and credentials from your automations. And lastly, we'll be introducing server-side trigger capability. So now for our last demo, we'd like to show you how this is coming together. So Param's going to join us for one last time to show us a little bit what's coming in the integration service in 21.10. Param?
Here is a view of the integration service. Look at all these connectors we have. They each support a breadth of functionality from the backend services and are standardized so that you don't have to handle them differently. Let's create an automation in Studio with a blend of UI and API approaches using this new service. We're going to read a list of new employees that come from recruiting each week, then create the new employees in ADP and register them for onboarding training in the learning portal. So we'll start by reading the Excel input into a data table, just as you would do today. Now, for each of those rows in data table, I am going to add employees, and I'm going to search for ADP, and the integration service powered by Cloud Elements automatically shows me the ADP functions that are available. like create employee or update or remove employees. We've not only made the APIs available, but we're also curating them for the most common use case. One click, and this activity is added to our workflow. Now, this activity asks me to connect to ADP to get specific details of our instance and also to use in debugging. Clicking this connect button here opens the browser, allows me to provide my ADP credentials and automatically get the connection information. The connection information is persisted for me and I don't have to provide it again. Now, this activity requires me to provide details of the new employees. So let's get that from the data table. I don't have to worry about multiple API calls that are needed to create that employee. The integration service simplifies any of that complexity for me. Now I can use the information from the new employees in ADP, like their new employee ID, to register them in our legacy learning system for the onboarding training. I'm going to use the power of UI automation as we don't have access to the underlying APIs for our learning portal. This is all standard capability that you're already familiar with. Now, after I test my automation, I'm going to publish it to Orchestrator and then share it with the employee onboarding team. Let's look at the experience of the end user in the onboarding team and see how the integration service also makes it easier for them to consume the automations. I can see here that there is a new connection required the first time I have to run this process new employee automation. It opens the browser for me, and once I provide my credentials, I don't have to provide them again. Now we can run the automation, and once it completes, it confirms that everything has been processed. And that's it. We've just brought together the power of UI and API automation with a new integration service easily in this familiar studio experience. And more connectors, no more issues storing or sharing usernames and passwords with the connections capability.
Really excited to bring integration service to the automation platform. And I'm very thankful for the community members for your continued support over the years. And I'm really looking forward to the continued engagement and feedback on our product roadmap. Ted, back over to you.
Thanks, Param. Well, hopefully this has given you a good overview of some of what we're thinking about and what's coming next. We're certainly all excited to see what you're going to create with this and to get your feedback. I'd encourage everyone, please engage on 21.4, give us your feedback. Also, if you're not a part of our Insiders program, I really encourage you to join that, as that gives you a unique opportunity to engage in some of the features and products that are coming. And so we can get your feedback to help shape those and make them just what you want as our next releases come out. And literally, we could not accomplish this without you and the support that we get from our community. And I want to thank you so much for all of the feedback that you provide, the engagement, how you help others. We very much appreciate this. I hope you have a great and productive time at DevCon. And I want to thank you for your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Param, and thank you, Ted. That was such a perfect start. I wish we could be in person and meet you all together. But since we are not able to do, please keep us engaged. Please take a selfie, please take a screenshot and put it on social media. And don't forget to use hashtag UiPath DevCon. We also have an exciting hackathon winners announcement later in the day. So keep your fingers crossed for all those participants who have submitted amazing ideas and prototypes. Let's get into the next session.